Severe tropical cyclone Zelia is a Category 5 tropical cyclone that is going to cross the Pilbara coastline later on Friday with damaging and destructive winds, heavy rain and flooding. Let's get into it with the latest updates from Friday morning, because there has been a couple of significant changes compared to what we were looking at yesterday on Thursday evening. Here's the radar imagery from this morning, neatly showing the eye of the tropical cyclone here, this little centre where all the rain is wrapping around through the morning hours with a bit of motion to it as well. Currently moving slowly in the southeastwards direction. It is sitting around about 100 kilometres north of Port Hedland, but that number is shrinking as this system is getting closer to the coast every hour. We are seeing this approaching parts of the Pilbara area. So this is the current location of our severe tropical cyclone. It is a Category 5 system. Just a reminder, Category 5 is the top of the scale. It does not get any worse than that. Extremely damaging and destructive winds, widespread rain, flooding and storm surge are all expected. We'll zoom out a little bit to see the tropical cyclone warning area, which is extensive, and it has expanded since yesterday as well, stretching from Karratha to Willal Downs on the coast, now pushing a long way inland through Marble Bar, Tom Price and down towards Newman as well. We do expect to see significant weather impacts throughout this area in the next 24 hours. Let's zoom in a little bit more now. We'll take a closer look at that all-important coastal crossing, which is forecast to happen later today. There have been a couple of significant shifts in the most recent information, which has come out at 6 a.m. Australian Western Time. Let's play through the forecast track for the next few hours and we'll see it move southwards towards the coast. I want to highlight two key changes compared to what we were looking at yesterday evening. The first is timing. If you watched yesterday, we were forecasting a crossing of about 6 or 7 p.m. Western Time this evening. That has come forward earlier in the day. Now the crossing is expected to happen in the afternoon, perhaps around 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon as it does cross the coast. The second significant shift compared to yesterday is the location of the crossing. We are now expecting the Category 5 tropical cyclone to cross east of Port Hedland. Yesterday, that was just to the west of Port Hedland, out over here. Broadly speaking, that won't mean a significant shift to the weather. We still anticipate very heavy rainfall, damaging and destructive winds in Port Hedland itself. The one shift that could change is storm surge and storm tide, when the sea levels rise much higher than a usual high tide and flood coastal locations. Those storm tides are expected to be most significant on the eastern side of the crossing point, up over this stretch of coast here out towards Pardue. That means that Port Hedland perhaps won't see as significant a storm tide as it could have with a western crossing point. We're going to zoom out and see how this might actually look this afternoon as the cyclone crosses. Firstly, we're expecting destructive winds near the crossing point. We could see wind gusts of 300 kilometres an hour. It's hard to fathom how strong that is, but it can take out trees, power lines and completely destroy properties and houses. More broadly speaking, we won't see winds that strong across other parts of the Pilbara, but 100 to 150 kilometre an hour gusts are possible for many coastal locations, which is very strong wind nonetheless. Widespread rainfall and the potential for flooding also persists across almost the entire area, with the heaviest falls once again focused on that coastal crossing location. We do expect some really significant impacts as this crosses around Port Hedland and for surrounding parts of the Pilbara area, including significant flooding through the rivers and flash flooding anywhere where the heavy rain occurs. Destructive winds can knock down trees and houses, take out power and cause significant stress on infrastructure, travel and road networks, making things very difficult to get around in that part of the country. And storm tides and inundation are possible, particularly near and east of where the cyclone crosses, where we could see tides much over their normal level, flooding coastal areas, roads and properties. We're going to take a look now at what we're expecting in the next few days after this coastal crossing as the tropical cyclone continues to move inland. You'll see the numbers gradually dropping, 4 and then down to 2 by Saturday morning. As this tropical cyclone loses connection with the warm waters over the Pilbara coast, it will gradually weaken in the coming days as it moves further and further into Western Australia, potentially becoming a tropical low again later in the day on Saturday, but that will still mean some wind and some rain through large areas of the northern interior and the central Gascoyne of Western Australia, even as the system slowly weakens through the course of the weekend. Finally, a look at how much rain we could get, with multiple 100 millimetres of rain expected about and east of Port Hedland. We've already had 300 millimetres in some locations. That could be over 500 millimetres by the time we see the weekend arrive. So lots of wet weather, flooding and destructive winds. So if you are in this part of the country or you have loved ones in northern WA, please do make sure they are up to date with the latest warnings, particularly given the changes we have been seeing this morning. You can always get the latest warnings and tropical cyclone information on the Bureau's website. And of course, throughout a severe weather event like this, do listen to and follow any advice from your local emergency services and your local authorities. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.